Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, April 26th. Hey, we've got our usual crowd going to join us today. We got Tom, Lee, Gentry, and Tracy going to tune in and see what we've got going on in the lakes around our area. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. Hey, we're joined by Tom Ott, our Guntersville master up there. We're going to talk a little bit of fishing for grass fish, pre-spawn fish, post-spawn fish. What's going on up there, Tom, on the big lake?
Yes, and yes. I'm telling you, the fish are, we've got them in all stages right now. We've got fish that are coming in, we've got fish moving out, we've got posters, we've got prees. It is, you can catch fish right now about any depth of water you want. I mean, out to the super deep, but, the fish are really just extremely active right now, Dano. I mean, from a shad spawn, there's been a good shad spawn. I'm sure it's getting stronger this weekend. But last week, it was pretty healthy. The fish were really starting to come to those. And, most of those are, we did catch a lot of pre-spawners in there, but the majority of them were all post-spawn, just trying to feed up. But I'm telling you, it's really hot, in that 4 foot of water, all the way up to really shallow. And again, out to probably 10, 12 to 20 feet. I mean, these fish are just moving all over the place. But if you're talking, I think right now, just pick your poison and how you like to catch them, and you can catch them. I mean, there's a lot of fish being caught. It's a little difficult to catch some of the bigger fish. You got to kind of hunt for those, but you can go out and catch just a ton of fish. And now we've got the brim going on bed. That's gonna take off here. With May coming and the full moon, that's gonna be crazy. Those bass are gonna be up on those brim beds, just eating like nuts. I mean, a swim jig, a chatterbait, anything along those lines, anything that's going to stimulate a brim, you're going to get bit. And it's probably going to be a healthy fish. I've seen more 3 to 5 pound fish this year than I have in maybe the last couple of years, really.
Are you seeing any schooling activity yet? Are the stripers starting to get active? I know we saw some striper get posted. Guys here at Hartwell, covering this Elite Series event, we saw some pre-tournament pictures of striper. Is that happening at Guntersville?
I haven't really seen the schooling activity, but I will say that, when we were on the shad spawn, we were catching a mix of hybrids along with the bass. So, I mean, a lot of the fish that we were seeing were, boiling up and things like that were the stripe or white bass hybrids. They're just all in there, they're all after the same thing. They're all after the same food. So, even catching a few drum in there. So it's just a mix, and it's kind of like they just put out the Chinese buffet and said, if you're a fish and you like shad, come on, and that's kind of what's happening right now.
Brother, we appreciate everything. We will talk to you again next week. Hey, we got our man Tracy Robinson going to join us right here, talk a little bit of Logan Martin and Lay Lake fishing. Tracy, pick where you want to start. You want to go to the bottom end or you want to go up to the top?
Yeah, we can start at Lay. Lay seems to be the hot spot right now, based on all of my fishing and my buddies fishing. I don't think Lay could get much better than what it is right now if you're into shallow water
Wow.
fishing. I heard some guys talking about catching 40 and 50 fish up in the shallows this week. So it's just on fire this week in shallows. And you got to pick your poison. I'm more the swim jig kind of guy. So I'm going to be throwing that swim jig up in that grass. But these guys are catching them on frogs, they're catching them on spinner baits, catching them on soft plastics and jigs, seeing a few fish targeting those spawning fish. But just the shallow water fishing that Lay is on fire right now.
Are we seeing any topwater activity anywhere yet, or is it still that they're not quite going up that way?
No, Dana, that's funny you say that. I pulled up on one patch of grass midweek, and man, it looked like a 6 or 7 pounder just come blowing up out of it, trying to eat a brim. I threw in there, nothing, and I started to move off again and did it again. So I didn't catch it, but there is some definitely some activity going on up in the shallows that the top water bite. You catch those fish.
All right, well, let's turn our attention to Logan Martin. I know that water's got to be coming up a little bit, and maybe those fish are starting to make their move.
Yeah, it's slowly coming up down there. We had some rains that came through, kind of came up, kind of went back down, got Neely, Henry, Weiss kind of back regulated. So it's kind of back on the normal schedule right now. The fish have settled down a good bit there. It's not hard to catch the fish there. The numbers anyway. The size still a little tricky on the size. There's a few of the bigger fish are moving up into the shallow brush. They know what time it is. They're trying to get up there close to the spawn and stuff. I'm not seeing any on bed, but they're right there at that point where any day now you should start seeing some on bed. I would say some are bedding right now, but you just can't see them. But anyway, those fish are up there, the largemouth anyway. The spots, typical Logan Martin, the current stuff. We've had some rains. You can catch those fish out there near the main river. You can catch them on the creek points as well. Some top water. You're seeing some blowing up on some of the points. So the spots. Just kind of looking around. If you'll watch, you'll see where to go fishing. They're eating. The largemouth again, get up there in the shallows, your top water buzz baits, spinner baits, plastics on those rocky banks, and where they normally spawn at in the back of those creeks. That's your best bet. Seeing tons of crappie guys out there. I didn't crappie fish any, but I'm seeing tons of crappie boats out there, which indicates to me that they're catching them out there. But just based on the number of boats I'm seeing fishing for them.
Well, Tracy, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. Thanks for all the information, and we'll talk to you again soon, sir. Hey, we got Gentry Gordy joining us. We're going to talk a little bit of Logan. No, we're going to talk a little bit of Lake Martin, and we're going to talk some Jordan Lake. Gentry, start at Jordan. What are we hearing out of there?
Jordan's actually pretty good. I know I didn't get a chance to go there this past week, but did talk to some friends. It's just fun, man. The numbers are there, the big bites are there. The seawalls are doing real good, especially closer down to the dam on the south end. A lot of those seawalls are playing real well. Spinnerbait early in the morning on them, and those fish will back off, as the sun comes up. But a top water plug and a buzz bait and even a rivet style frog is something to throw all day. Your biggest bite may come frog. But especially on the walls and a lot of those shallow points, like off some of those little islands and stuff, heading up the lake is producing some pretty good spots, especially on the south end. Or the north end does. It's just they're always. Sometimes they bite, sometimes they don't. But when they do, it's a big weight.
I hear you there. All right, let's go to Lake Martin. What are you seeing out of that one?
Water's cleared up a lot. So the your glide baits are starting to work. Those post spawn fish coming off, the ones that have come off. There's some still up there, but definitely throw a glide bait. And if you want to go at night, the nights are pretty warm. Look around those dock lights. But a top plug, a bait. I mean, numbers wise, man, they're everywhere. And we talked about last week, the shallow gravel points and stuff like that. The spotted bass are still there, and
Oh wow,
you can really get bit on those long tapered ponds.
What about the crappie? Are you seeing a bunch of crappie fishermen out there?
Oh yeah. The crappie fishermen are definitely out there, and they're just going. I see them because I think they're bass fishermen, but a lot of them that I've seen are shooting the docks, the deeper docks. But yeah, I've seen a very good many of the crappie boats.
Well, Gentry, brother, we appreciate everything that you do, being a part of this report for the fans that tune in. Thanks for everything that you are, and we appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we got the man, the myth, the legend, the dude, Lee Pitts, joining us. He is the crappie king of Weiss Lake, and we're going to talk a little bit of Weiss Lake right now. Lee, what's going on up there?
It's time the crappie are starting to hit the banks a little bit. We're still working on a little bit of water issues with them raising it, lowering it, but they're trying to get up there on some of this wood cover. We're starting to still find some fish long line trolling, getting up in that 4 or 5 foot range, and also playing with colors a lot. It's a hit and miss type deal. You got to cover some water and find them. They're getting in the pockets around the docks, looking for the wood and some of these harder bottoms.
Um, That's up there at Weiss, right? What about the bass bite? What are we hearing out of that?
You know, the bass bite right now is doing a lot better than the crappie. A lot of your fish are kind of coming out of that little post spawn funk type deal where they want to start chasing a little bit again and starting to bite. They're in the grass. When you can find some of that grass or some of the shallow wood, once again, that's where they're at too. Um, Upriver bite seems to be a little better right now. Some of your main lake pockets and places that they spawn there are a little behind. And I think that's because of temperature a little bit. You know, we're looking at temperature right now in the 70s. So a lot of your main lake stuff is still a little bit behind the upriver.
Yeah, well, sometimes you do have to check the temperatures and the humidity is, but we're going to turn on down to Neely Henry, where you had a pretty good tournament last week, if I remember right. You finished yourself in a good old second place, didn't you?
Yeah, just didn't have quite enough. You know, I was hoping to have a three-peat on it, but you know, it was that's my second home lake there, so it's a great fishery and had a good time. You know, caught a lot of fish, a lot of small fish, but that hey, as long as you're catching, that's great. The spinnerbait bite was good. Also pitching some plastics. You know, just trying to find some of these bigger females to bite, but had a good day, and from what I hear, it's continuing through the week right now down at Neely. A lot of guys are getting up there pitching plastics around docks, throwing some, you know, some Cincos, things like that, letting some of these bigger females come and pick it up. But it's getting right. You know, there's a lot of fish to be caught down there right now, bass and crappie. So you just got to get out there and chase them and pull up on the right spot.
Is dock shooting still the deal for the crappie?
It is, and you got to have some sunshine. You know, we've had a little bit of cloud cover this week and some rain, but when you get some sunshine to push them up underneath these docks, the Bobby Garland baby shad has been a great bait. Also with our the minnow minders and the slab slayers, which I mention those a lot. That seems to be my go-to bait, especially with these dock shooting. You can skip them real well. So get out there and bend her back and let her fly.
Brother, we appreciate everything. Good job last week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, April 26th. Thanks to all of you guys for being the reason we do what we do here at Bucks Island, whether it's sharing fishing information with you, talking about the new tackle, or whether we're sharing information about new boats or ways to keep yours going. You're the reason we do this, and we thank you for your participation and for your trust in what we do here at Bucks Island. You're the most important part of what we do, and we love doing it for you. We will talk to you again next week on the Bucks Island Area Fishing Report.